If you are watching this, it's very likely that you are a user of the World Wide Web. Its invention has made a great change in the life of all people, but have you ever thought what its architecture is and if it's right or wrong? When I first saw the web more than 20 years ago, I immediately became very enthusiastic about it. I am a computer scientist, so I started to make stuff for the web. But quite soon I realized that there was something wrong with it. It took me about 10 years of hard work to figure it out, and here it is. We are using the legacy architecture that is not full. It causes a lot of problems for users and developers, but most of those problems can be easily solved with a simple extension that I received in my laboratory during my research. First, let's take a look at the design of the World Wide Web. It mainly consists of HTML to define hypertext documents, browsers to browse them, servers to serve them, and HTTP to transfer them. The idea of the web was invented in 1940s, and since then there have been a number of implementations until the World Wide Web was invented and implemented in 1980s in Switzerland. That's where I am now. It was the web of documents. It was made by scientists and for scientists, and it actually had really great principles in the background. Client-server architecture was symmetrical. What was on the back end was on the front end. No programming languages were involved and needed, and it means that anybody who could type on a computer could start building the web. Hypertext documents were platform independent. You could copy them from any computer to any other computer and it would work. UX was good, and little computer resources were needed to use the web because probably 90% of what you were downloading during browsing was human relevant information. So it was good and simple and everybody loved it, but is it really the web of documents that we are using today? How often do you tell your friends, hey, go to that and that document URI? I would say never. You usually tell them, hey, go to that and that website. And it means that we are building and using the web of sites. But we are building it on the architecture of the web of documents. And it creates a lot of problems. If we take into account that there are billions of users and millions of web developers, it means an incredible loss of human lifetime, energy and money globally. If we take the initial principles and compare them with what we have today, there is no match. The client-server architecture is not symmetrical. There are HTML files on the front end, but no HTML files on the back end. Websites on the back end are usually complicated combinations of sophisticated programming environments, frameworks, databases, content management systems. It makes the web fragile, and it makes websites platform and developer dependent. UX is seldom good, and too much computer network resources are needed to use the web, because maybe only 10% probably is what you are downloading and what is human relevant. The rest is something human irrelevant. All those problems are there because we're building our web of sites on the legacy architecture of the web of documents. The key point to understand here is that there is nothing in the architecture of the web of documents that defines websites. What people usually ask at this point is, what is a website then? Okay, here's my definition of a website. A website is a group of hypertext documents that have the same navigation, same styling, and are on the same domain. Users that are looking at several hypertext documents that have same navigation, same styling, and are in the same domain think that they are using a website. But there is nothing in the architecture of the web of documents that defines those three things. Okay, you might ask, what can we do to help the situation, to fix the problem? Well, logically, if the architecture is not full, we need to extend it. But if you're a regular user, you don't have skills to do that. However, you can still share this video, which is highly appreciated, of course. But if you're a web developer or a web designer of any kind, you can start using and supporting the extension that I received in my laboratory during my research, and which I call SiteXML. It consists of three main parts. The first part is logically a website definition. The second part is STP, or Site Transfer Protocol, which helps browsers and servers communicate with each other in terms of websites, not just documents. And the last but not least part is macro language, which helps sharing themes throughout the whole web. We need those three things to extend the architecture of the web, of the World Wide Web, and to turn it into what it really is, the web of sites. If SiteXML is adopted, we will get back all those great principles designed and defined by the brightest computer scientists of the last century, and in addition, we will still be able to use all the latest achievements of the modern web technologies. Client-server architecture will be symmetrical again. The files that are on the backend will be on the front end. No programming languages will be needed to build the web, and it means that anybody who can type on a computer will be able to start building the web. Websites will be platform independent. You can copy them from any platform to any other platform and they'll work. UX and performance will be much better, as well as significantly less resources of computers and networks will be needed to use the web, because 90% of what you will be downloading during browsing will be human relevant information. If the web is extended that way, it will be much easier to use and much simpler to build. Web developers will be able to focus on something what is more interesting and important than just filling in the gaps of the legacy architecture. If you got interested, you can find more information at sitexml.info, and if you like the video, please share it with anybody you think it can be useful to.